All right, guys, we are back. Going to go ahead and take a look at the revenue numbers now for Fire Emblem Heroes. There has been a bit of a scare lately, an end-of-service scare due to recent events and recent developments. So I just wanted to nip it in the bud right here, just dispel everybody's worries. I ran the numbers here. We have everything from download numbers to revenue numbers from Sensor Tower here, which keeps track of how all of the apps on the App Store are doing. And let me just say, TLDR, FEH does not seem to be in any trouble, which was actually quite a shock to me. I thought we were down bad, actually, after seeing what they did with the Tempest Trial units and deciding to cut costs by removing the free-to-play Tempest Trial unit. But no, actually, we're in a pretty decent spot by the looks of things. We're going to take a look at the FEH revenue and then compare it to a bunch of other gaches and take a look at how we're doing. So, of course, starting things off with Fire Emblem Heroes. Now, we have to take a look at two separate versions of the game. We have one on the App Store for iOS, and then we have one on the Google Play Store for Android. So, on iOS, we are making currently $1 million revenue per month on average. 5K downloads, which is really bad, but to be fair, this has been an ongoing problem with Fire Emblem Heroes for a while now, where it's not really attracting a lot of new players, and most of the people playing the game have been around pretty much since the start. So if they would find a way to attract more newcomers to the game, that would definitely help. And the infrequent releases of main entries into the main series is certainly not doing us any favors. So, like, Fortune's Weave is coming out, I don't even know, like next year, maybe? And how long ago has it been since Engage? So, yeah, pumping out a little bit more frequency with the mainline releases would certainly help advertise Fire Emblem Heroes a little bit more. Although I think their intended goal with Heroes is to do the opposite and actually promote the mainline games, which at the current time, it's kind of in reverse, which is funny to see. So 5K downloads on the iOS store, and then 20K, a little bit better, on the Google Play Store. I guess Google is a more, like, wider target audience. There's more people with Androids than iPhones. Can't really blame them. iPhone kind of sucks, but, I mean, I have an iPhone, so I can't really talk too much trash about it. And we are at a steady 1 million on both. So totally's up, and you get $2 million in total revenue for Fire Emblem Heroes, which, all things considered, that's pretty solid. That is definitely respectable. Now, for comparison, if you're wondering what it takes for a gacha to go under, we have some information regarding Dragalia Lost here. So, Dragalia Lost ended service November 30th, 2022, and they announced that they were going to close the servers on March 2022. So, what we have here are some screen-capped statistics for Dragalia Lost, the month right before they announced end of service. So February 2022, they announced end of service in March 2022, so pretty close to the amount of money the game was pulling before it died off. So 200K revenue on the iTunes Store, and then over here we have 200K on the Google Play Store. Sub 5K downloads, which is pretty horrendous, but surprisingly, over on the App Store for iTunes, this one did a little better, 10K downloads there. But the total revenue is roughly 400K if we tally this up for both App Stores. And 200K, 400K, that's... certainly FEH is a bit above that, right? We're looking at 2 million, basically. All right, we don't want to skip ahead to Shadows yet, but... yeah, FEH at 2 million compared to Dragalia's 400K prior to shutting down. I think we still have a couple of years to go for Fire Emblem Heroes. So don't worry. If you want to at least see the end of the Book 10 story with Ragnarok, I don't think we have to worry about that at least. We're definitely going to see the light at the end of the road for that and see wherever the hell Rune is taking us on these train tracks that he's set up. So there we go for Fire Emblem Heroes. Another game of interest I wanted to look at was Fire Emblem Shadows, just for funsies. So over on the App Store for iTunes, we have 200K downloads, or not 200K, God forbid, 20K downloads for Fire Emblem Shadows, which is the same for the Google Play Store for Heroes, and then a lot more for the iTunes Store for Fire Emblem Heroes. You could attribute this to the game having just recently came out, though. So, of course, there's more people who haven't downloaded the game yet, and that means more people who have potential to download the game, as opposed to FEH, which has been around for 10 years at this point. Not 10 years, but how long has FEH been around? Since 2017, so roughly 8 to 9 years for Fire Emblem Heroes, whereas Shadows is like 2 months old. So, of course, this game is going to have more downloads. Revenue, on the other hand, for Shadows, that is abysmal. 50K revenue? Oh my god, this game bombed. And it's no better on the Google Play Store either. Another 50K for revenue. That is really bad, guys. That's like 100K total. And it took 400K for Dragalia Lost to realize they were going under. This is very alarming. If I was a Shadows player, I'd be pretty bummed out by this, to tell you the truth. Now, what's actually funny, though, is that, believe it or not, the Bear Ike that they dropped for Christmas for Fire Emblem Shadows actually outsold the Edelgard emblem that they dropped for FEH. So, on the Google Play Store, Emblem Edelgard took us to number 294 on the App Store. Bear Ike took us to 176 for Shadows. So more people were interested in buying Bear Ike than Emblem Edelgard. Oh my god, dude. That is peak comedy right there. I cannot make that up. That is so funny. And then on the iTunes Store, we got to number 409 for Bear Ike and only 450 for Emblem Edelgard. So, Three Houses fans, suck it. Ike still on top, man. Ike is still the GOAT, baby. You love to see it. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at Dokan Battle, another gacha that I play. This is probably my favorite gacha overall, just because of the way they treat the player base. They have been making constant updates to Dokan ever since it came out, and if you look at where it was at the start to where we are now, Dokan has been making so many good improvements to the point where, like, I don't even mind spending money in Dokan. Like, even if I get shafted on a banner, it's like, oh, you guys earned my money. I have no problems taking the L on a banner if it means supporting a game where the devs actually treat the player base with integrity and they treat us with respect. They give a lot of freebies, they give great deals and everything like that. This is what happens when you build a gacha for the long term. You're looking for long-term investment, not short-term, which FEH goes a lot in on the short term where they're just trying to make as much money as fast as possible. Dokan did it the right way. Let's make as much money as we can over the longest period of time that we can. So, mad respect to Dokan. 5 million revenue on the iTunes Store and then 3 million on the Google Play Store. Total it up, you get 8 million. We're heading into the 11-year anniversary as well, so you can expect these numbers are going to shoot way up. We're probably going to be rank 1 on the App Store, by the way, for the 11-year anniversary. Dokan always kills it for the anniversaries. Unfortunately, unlike FEH. That's another thing they could take out of Dokan's book, is just making the anniversary event, like, just complete fire. So yeah, Dokan's doing very good. Of course, 300K downloads. For a game that's almost 11 years old, that's still ridiculous to me. That is nuts. Alright, another gacha I play, Pokemon Masters EX. This game, I feel like this game is in even more danger than FEH, honestly, and it does show. When you look at the numbers, it does show, but somehow or another, this game still manages to stay afloat. I think it's really just riding off the success of the Pokemon IP, because obviously Pokemon is a way bigger IP than Fire Emblem. So even like a really subpar Pokemon game is still going to be able to just make enough bank to stay alive, more so than FEH, just off of the IP name alone. So 1 million overall on the iTunes Store, and then on the Google Play Store, 800K. So, yeah, Pokemon Masters EX seems like it's still going to be around for a while, just like FEH, but not doing so great, not doing so hot in terms of revenue overall. And then 40K downloads, and then 80K downloads over on the Google Play Store. So just killing FEH in terms of downloads, which is exactly what I'm trying to say here, is that FEH doesn't do a good enough job of attracting newcomers, Whereas, of course, Pokemon, being the big IP that it is going to always have a constant flow of people downloading the game. So there we go for that. And then finally we have Genshin Impact, which, I mean, I don't play Genshin personally. All the other gachas I showed, I played besides Shadows. I don't play Genshin either, but I know that it's one of the more popular ones, so I wanted to at least show something that's very current and doing well. So 300K downloads on the iTunes Store, 7 million in revenue. And then over here on the Google Play Store, 5 million in revenue and 800K downloads. So we're looking at 803, like over a million downloads. Wow. 1.1 million downloads per month is crazy. And then 5 plus 7, we're looking at 13 million in revenue. And this game frequently makes it into the top 50. So right now they're actually ranked 43 in the world for game apps. And then number 17, they peaked today in the US. They might have dropped something hot there if that's the case. So yeah, pretty interesting. Just wanted to take a little look at how FEH was doing in terms of revenue, considering all the end of service talks that have been going around lately. My takeaway, once again, like I said at the start of the video, doesn't look like there's any cause for alarm yet. If Genshin is anything to go by, then this game went defunct after a 400K revenue month. FEH is still quite a ways away from reaching that point, but at this rate, though, there's not really telling how much longer they'll be able to sustain it. Certainly not another, like, 10 years, though. That seems out of the question, but I would say at least another good 3 to 5 years is certainly without question for FEH at the moment. Shadows, though, I mean, this game is going to be lucky to even make it to a year at the rate things are going here. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. This is your boy Tacho signing out. Still cannot believe Bear Ike outsold Edelgard, though. That is way too funny.